My life has felt pretty unspectacular lately. Between working and building out the van, I feel like I've missed countless sunsets, countless hours on the lake paddleboarding, but I know that it's all going to be worth it in the end. I read a quote the other day that said, "Spectacular achievement is always preceded by unspectacular preparation." I feel like that's the phase that I'm in right now. However, as I'm preparing for van life, there's so much to think about. Well, really, one of the things that you think about in the beginning is like, what do I need to have? What do I need to take with me? What am I taking with me? I always try to think of humans as like, what if we didn't have all this stuff? What if it was, what could I live with and like have to have? Obviously, you have to have food, clothing, shelter. Like we know the basics, and that is essentially really all humans need, right? But we as a society have built our lives and our bodies and our brains to need more, I think. In this video, I want to talk about 10 of the things that I knew very early on that I would be taking with me into van life, and I have a bonus one for you at the end. I know that these 10 things may be different for me than they are for you. I've watched countless hours of van builds, and I know that people build specific things into their vans because it works for their life and for the way they live. I, for one, like I'm a coffee drinker and I love coffee in the morning. So that's like very important, kind of ritualistic for me. It's not even so much that like I want to drink coffee all day long. I just really love the morning ritual of like making and smelling the coffee and having like a warm drink, and kind of like goes along with a little bit like a slow morning. And obviously it does caffeinate me and help me to wake up, but it's a way that I love to wake up to. One of the number one things for me was a water kettle, or a way of making coffee that didn't expend too much energy. So when you're living van life or RV life, or even you're traveling in your car, your SUV, you're living car life, your energy is limited. And so you need to think of ways that are creative that don't take up a lot. And so one of the first things that I purchased years ago was this portable kettle, and I love it. It gives me just enough water for the coffee that I make for myself. And then I have this Bodum coffee press. So I boil the water in my portable kettle. It uses hardly any energy at all. It plugs into a 120 outlet. And so I have a power bank. When I was doing car camping, I had an EcoFlow Delta 2 power bank, and so I would plug it right into there. That's how I boil my water, and then I make my coffee with the French press. I love the coffee that comes out of the coffee press, and it does take like, probably almost 10 minutes to make my coffee, between boiling it and then pouring it in here and like waiting 5 minutes. But it's such good coffee, and the acidity is much lower than regular coffee, and it just, I don't know, I really love it. I've tried drinking, like going back to Keurig coffee, and I just don't love it as much. So I'll probably just continue doing that. So that being said, yeah, let's talk about the power bank. So like I said, a few years ago, I purchased the EcoFlow Delta 2, and it works really well for pretty much everything I need. I honestly probably could have just used that in this van build, but I was slightly concerned with going full time and then having to run all my electronics and maybe some kitchen appliances that I'll want to add. I wasn't too sure that the Delta 2 would at least work for some of the kitchen appliances, because there's like a max of like wattage that you can run at any point in time. You kind of got to look at the math, or look at the numbers. So I ended up purchasing the Delta 2 Max. And so I know that I'll be able to run any kitchen appliance that I want to, in case I decide to add like an oven or some microwave later on. I know that it'll work on that. So for those of you that are car camping or SUV camping, I really like the Delta 2. This isn't a paid promotion. I like the product. It feels very high quality. It's worked well for me for years. It's also nice just as a backup, even if you live in an apartment or a house. It's nice to have that as a backup if you lose electricity, which I've had happen, and then I've used it to, charge my phone or whatever. Now, going back to things I drink, let's talk about my Yeti. I love this water bottle. I know people like you hear about people like having like a comfort water bottle or whatever. This is my comfort water bottle. I drink from it all the time. My daughter got it for me and it says "Stay Wild." I absolutely love it. I've had it for years, probably 4 years now, I want to say, and it keeps my water cold. I honestly probably would never want to have a different water bottle from a different company. I really like it. Now, something else I love is iced coffee. So I was thinking, when I first started like thinking about van life, I was like, I'm probably not gonna have a freezer, because at that point I just had a chest style refrigerator and it only had one compartment and it could either be a fridge or a freezer. I was like, well, obviously I'm gonna need a fridge. So I was assuming I wouldn't have a freezer, and that made me really sad, because I was like, I love iced coffee, like especially when it's warm, and I'm headed to warmer environments. And so as the van build kind of got bigger and bigger, I did end up adding on a refrigerator freezer combo. And this freezer, I think for the size of refrigerator that this is, and it's 12 volts, I think this might be the biggest freezer that I've seen. A lot of people have like the refrigerator style that you open up one single door and then the freezer is like inside at the top. And I've heard many videos where they complain about either the amount of stuff they fit in it, or it freezes up with ice and then you really can't fit much of anything. And so it's kind of a waste. So I'm really hoping that this freezer ends up working really well and giving me, you know, the ice that I need for my iced coffee. And maybe some ice cream. And then the other thought behind it too is like, it's been really nice in the last like, I don't know, 9 months since I've been living with Craig. He actually cooks a lot of food at one time and then freezes it. And I've realized like how nice that is to just be able to grab a little cup of chili and like heat it up and you have lunch. So I'm thinking about that along the lines of like cooking things that I like and then being able to freeze them so that I don't have to cook all the time, because I don't love cooking. I feel like most of my things like have something to do with electronics, which is ironic because you're thinking like, I want to do van life so that I can go be in nature, but yet I'm planning this entire van out to be able to work all my electronics because I still have to work. And my hobby is like photography, video, which is electronics, but whatever. It is what it is. That brings about the point that it was highly important to me that I am able to work full time in this van. And so I need to have the electric to charge everything. I still need to figure out like the Wi-Fi and exactly what I'm gonna do for that. Lately, I've just been using my hotspot, but so I have Verizon plan. I might end up getting a hotspot from AT&T just so that way I have either Verizon or AT&T coverage. I've heard that that's a good thing to do. Thought about doing Starlink as well. I don't know that that would be beneficial because I'm going to be spending so much time on the East Coast where there's like tons of trees. And from what I've heard, Starlink doesn't work well if there are a lot of trees around. Which I'm like, if you're in a remote area, I don't know. I could see where that would work in like Arizona or something like that, but that's not really going to work well for me. So yeah, my electronics, my camera gear, my computer, that is something that I'm definitely taking with me because it's literally my livelihood. It's literally how I put food on the table. So that's important to me. Also, people always ask like the question like, okay, if there was a fire, your house had a fire and all of your family was safe, but you could only go in and save one item, like one thing, what would it be? It was always my camera. Always. It was like first thing that came to my mind was my camera gear. Yeah. I feel like everything else is replaceable, but like you almost develop this relationship with your camera. It's kind of weird, but true. It's like a love. It's kind of like the love I have for this van. Like this is my van. Her name is Kodiak. And like she's gonna have like, she has a personality and we're building out that like personality. And I think that's really interesting how we personify things. Anyway, I digress. The next thing on my list are sentimental items. And some of those are literally just right up front in my cab. So my mom got me this adorable little dream catcher years and years ago, and I've always kept it in my vehicle. It kind of just, I don't know, brings peace to me. And then my sister got me this little angel thing to travel like safely with, and I thought it reminds me of her, and I like having that there. And then my best friend got me this Lake Life. I don't know what you call this, kind of like Christmas ornament, but I just love it. It's colorful and it reminds me of my best friend. And then I have this plant that Riley made me, and this has been with me for 3 or 4 years, and I've taken on many trips, and I feel like it's another thing that just kind of is with me and brings me comfort. Next on the list is artwork and or like plants. And so I don't have any up, obviously the walls and stuff aren't done yet, shelves aren't done, but I am leaving space on the walls literally so that I can hang some pictures and make it feel homey. I have a couple favorites that I know will be going, which one is a sign with letters on it so that I can change that out. When I was thinking about like the artwork and the things that, you know, you bring into a van, I want it to be able to be as versatile as possible. And so this letter sign, even though I know it's, you know, kind of going out of style at this point, but I still love them because you can make whatever quote you want or whatever saying you want. So that's going with me. And then I got this really cute sign that says home, and you can switch out the O for the season. So I love that. That's just a little bit of how you can bring like seasonal decorating into a small space, is with very versatile items like this. Okay, switching back to electrics, I had to include my electric blanket. I love my electric blanket. When it is chilly at night, it just like helps me relax. And so this one is 12 volt and it will run for, I don't know, there's a timer on it, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and it's got 3 different warmth settings. And I just find it to be so comforting. I also use it as like kind of a heating pad. So like I'll leave it like kind of folded up a couple times and then put it on my back or my shoulders, and it works pretty well for that too. It's not as warm as a heating pad, but it works. It does the trick. So one thing I did notice too is that if you have that over you, then you put like another fleece blanket over top of it, it kind of keeps the heat in and like around you, and it's so cozy. I love it. All right, so one of the last things that I want to talk about is I am considering safety while I'm on the road. So I have your typical like mace, I've got bear spray, I'm not gonna say everything that I have just because I'm traveling solo, and I think it's smarter if you're traveling solo, you don't know who's like following you and you're putting this out there. It's kind of smart to keep some things secretive. So come at me, I dare you. I'm kidding, please don't. I will have also a physical like a hammer or something that I can literally just hit somebody with, because I will if I need to. It's such a weird thing to actually think about, but it is good. It's good to think about. The other thing that I've thought about is doing a camera system outside of my van, so that way I can go on my phone and just see like, is there somebody out there and who's out there wandering around. I think that would make me feel a lot more comfortable. Another thing I want to get is a satellite phone. And so that's if you end up in an area where the cell service isn't great, you can still check in with family and let them know that you're okay. What else? There was something else along safety I was going to say. Oh, I know what it was. So I'm also going to take, obviously Milo's going with me, so I'm going to take our dog horn, I don't know, air horn basically, but it's specifically made for when you're out like walking your dog, and if your dog starts to get attacked by another dog, or if you're like a biker or a runner and you don't want to be attacked by other people's dogs, you take this with you, just clip it on your pants or your belt or something, and I can testify that it works. So I was walking Milo maybe a month and a half ago, and there was a dog that came out from its yard and literally charged at us, and that was the first time I got to use it, and it stopped it, and like its owner was yelling for it, but it got up to us and I was like blowing on the horn, and it did seem to confuse it enough that it heard its owner and it went back. Thank God. I was like so nervous. I got that after Milo was attacked at a dog park the first and last time that not the first and last time we went to a dog park, but it might be the last time we went to a dog park. It wasn't the first time. But yeah, once you go through that, I totally get it now. Like, I am now that lady who's walking her dog with the belt with her treats and the bags and the air horn clipped to her. I used to think older people are so worried about everything. Yeah, because they have experience and they've gone through things and they're like, not again. Not today, Satan. So there you go. And I figured, I mean, that could also be useful if like somebody does try breaking in. That would scare the crap out of them. Like, it would just be like, go up to like the window, like that. I mean, I think it would work. I think they'd be like, what is happening? Probably more than like a woman yelling. Like a woman yelling, they might be prepared for, but a freaking air horn, they're probably not going to be prepared for that. And it will throw them off enough that you have time to jump in the front and drive off. That's my plan. Okay, so I have this quote that I found on Pinterest. I love quotes. You're probably going to see a lot of them in my videos. Attitude is the difference between an ordeal and an adventure. And that is the last thing that I'm going to talk about that I'm taking with me, which is a sense of adventure. And this is important because I know that traveling can be like mentally exhausting. And so when you're thinking about doing this for an everyday thing, and you want to, my whole goal is to like share these places with you guys and experience the country. Like I want to see all the national parks and I want to see all the like little cute little coastal towns. There's just so much that I want to see, but yet I'm also human and I can get into this like, no, it's easier for me and more comfortable if I just stay here tonight and, you know, work on my whatever, you know, and not go out and search or do adventurous things. So while I love it and I want it, I also have that sense of wanting to be comfortable. And adventure isn't always comfortable. It typically takes you out of your comfort zone, right? Because you're going somewhere new, you're seeing something new. And so it's really important to me that I continue my attitude of adventure and get myself out there because I want to share these things with you guys. So that pretty much sums up the most important things I could think of that I am taking into van life. I'm still in the middle of the build. I don't have walls yet. Not even all the electric is done, but I did get the counter installed on the kitchen and the kitchen is cut down and in place and that is all like ready to go. I still have to hook up the sink and get all the plumbing done. So, I ordered a new window for behind the driver's seat, which I was originally not going to put a window there because I was going to have a closet, but I've decided to move the closet next to the bed, have the refrigerator on top of the closet, and that opened up this area to be the dinette area. And then I thought, well, then if it's a dinette area and it's the work area, then I could put a window there. This whole van build is such a process, and I know other people like that have already done one probably understand where I'm coming from. But also could do a much better job on your second build. I could see so many things that I learned, and I would have a much better idea of what I was doing. I don't know that I'll ever do a second van build, but I say that about things. I mean, I've also said that about moving. I was like, I think this is my forever home. I don't think I'll move again. And then, you know, I've never had a forever home. This isn't going to be my forever home. Obviously, it's a vehicle, but at least for a few years. So I'm very excited. I'm so happy that you guys are here. If you made it this far into the video, I appreciate you. If you could give it a like, that would be super helpful to me. And if you haven't already subscribed, I hope that you do. So next week, I am going to tell you guys all about what has led me here at this point in my life. I am going to turn 50 in a week and a half, something like that. And I don't know. What is the date? Let's look. 8 days. 8 days, I'm going to be 50 years old. 50. It's so weird. It's like, what? I can't be 50. I'm like 30. How's that possible? Somehow it's possible when it's happened. Again, dang it. It'll be fine. I kind of want to go over why I'm doing this and what has led me here. And it's a lot. I mean, it's a lot of, I think it's explanation that's going to be really important moving forward for you guys to understand like where I'm coming from and why I'm doing what I'm doing and what I'm working toward. And that sounds like sort of like, oh, you're so important that we want to watch your life. Like it sounds selfish almost, and it's a narcissistic in a sense, but like I think that you need context when, if you're going to follow somebody's journey, don't you like to know like their background and where they came from and like why they're doing what they're doing? I do. And so I figured, why not just make a video on that? Like, what is she doing? I mean, I have so many people in my personal life that ask me that, and professional life, that are like, so where are you now? What are you doing? Where were you a year ago? And what were you doing then? Because they can't keep track. And so I kind of want to explain what has happened mostly in the last like 6 years. So just so you have a sense of like where I'm coming from, and then a sense of like where I'm going and what I'm trying to get out of this next phase of van life in my life at this age. Because I think it's kind of unique what I'm doing. I'm like, it's not like nobody does this. Nobody my age does this. There are people my age that do this. I just don't see it a lot. I see a lot of people my age that are doing this that are also working. It seems to be most van lifers are either older and retired or very young and just doing their thing, right? Like becoming content creators, and that's what their dream is, and that's what they're doing. And then, you know, eventually you kind of see them do it for like 4 or 5 years, and then they buy land and build a house. And honestly, I want to do the same thing, but except I'm just like going to be in my 50s. So that's a little bit weird. It's like, well, don't you have your shit together yet? And it's like, no, I don't, but I'm trying. So anyway, that was a ding. I've got to get to work. I loved being here with you guys, and I'll see you later. Thing I'm doing, right? I still forgot to clean off the freaking lens. I'll do it now. A little late, but what are you gonna do? Do I look prettier? Okay, anyway. What was I saying? Oh yes, so my video.